Hey, it's Mahmoud Hassan. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about what you should be focusing on as the business owner on a daily basis. If you're trying to grow your business but don't know where to focus and what you should be working on, then this video is for you, because every time I feel lost and confused, I come back to this one question, one simple, powerful thought process that's allowed me to scale to 1.1 million without having to get buried in the weeds, so I can work on my business, not in my business. Plus, I've showed this exact same thought process to over 200 of my clients, and they've also used this to scale to multiple 6 and 7 figures. So if you're feeling lost and confused, this video is for you, because I want you to gain a ton of clarity from this video so you know exactly where you should be pouring all of your time, energy, and effort. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So what is the job of a founder, the real job? To be honest, I never understood this. Like, I wish there was some mentor, somebody that had come to me and told me, this is what the founder is supposed to do, right? Because there's this notion of, is the founder supposed to be a player, a coach on the field? What should they be doing? Sometimes people think they should be working on product or improving the operations, working on growth. And there's so many conflicting advice. I think after a lot of trial and error, I figured out what the founder should be doing. I think as a founder, you really need to be zooming in and zooming out. Like, this is the perfect perspective for this. Like, you need to come up high, right, on top of the mountain and look at this business of yours, right, and figure out, where is there a fire that I need to address? If you're all the way at the bottom, you don't have that vision, that perspective to understand, well, there's trouble over there, and that's a very critical asset for me to focus on. So I need to divert some attention, some time, energy, some money, my company's resources to protect that asset. Or as a founder, you could be like, wow, that right there, that's prime real estate. That's prime opportunity for us to go over there and to build. So this is what I mean, right? That's the job of the founder at a very high level. Because in order for you to play the game of entrepreneurship well, you have to even understand, what is the game? What is the rule? So in this video, I'm going to break it all down for you and share with you, after lots of trial and error, what I learned. And after working with hundreds and hundreds of founders, this is literally the pattern to creating success. So I'm going to be looking at my note and talking through this as we go along. Now, you might understand, like, great, I zoom in, you either build something for the future because it's aligning with the mission, vision of the company, or you zoom in and you find something that you need to fix or improve, right? Sometimes as founders, we are the people with the natural gift or the strength or the perspective to build, fix, or improve. That's what we're trying to do when we zoom in. Once we zoom in, what we want to do is do one of those 3 things, build, fix, or improve, but then we want to create a system around it, because we want this to be something that's replicable by other team members. We don't want this to be reliant on our genius, because whatever you think is our genius, in all honesty, if you break it down into first principles, you'll find, like, this is how I thought about that problem. This is how I actually solved it step by step. And when you start breaking it down into little bite-sized pieces, well, what is that? That's a system. So now that you make that system, you can call it an SOP, you can call it whatever you like, right? You can now take that and train your team with it, right? You can make something super simple, like a Loom video, saying, hey, we had X, Y, and Z opportunity, or we had X, Y, and Z problem. This is how I went about fixing it. This was my thought process. Anytime around you guys face something similar, this is the mental model, the thought process I want you guys to use. So then now you're transferring that genius over to your team members. They're able to do that. Once you've done that, you zoom back out. You come back high up again, because you were down there. You were in the weeds, so to speak, for a quick second. You now want to get back up again and think about, great, what's next? Where should we build next? What should we fix next? What should we improve next? And I think this is the thing that I learned the hard way, which is the job of a founder is to constantly zoom in, zoom out, and to repeat this process until you have reduced all the possible friction and you are only on the path towards adding more value to the marketplace. And I came up with this kind of mental model for myself to figure out, okay, what is it that I should be working on right now? Which is this one question I want you to ask yourself, maybe at the starting of every week or at the end of every week, so you can get prepared. What's something that if we do wrong, but do everything else right, it will still lead to the business burning down? You might have to think long and hard about it. I think the usual jumping to conclusion answer might be, well, it's growth. If we neglect lead gen, sales, the revenue problems, the sales problems, and we do everything else right, meaning we have the best team, we have the best products, we have the best client experience, it will still lead to our demise. That's how you figure out how to prioritize your time, energy, money, resources, your talent. And I would also say you want to focus on one mission critical area at a time. You want to zoom in there, work on the processes, fix everything up or build something new, and then divert your attention elsewhere. At the end of the day, you want to keep the mission, vision of the company in mind and work towards that end goal. You also have to focus on the next immediate step or bottleneck. I think as you scale up as a founder and you have more money, you have access to more and better talent, oftentimes, we just want to wave a magic wand and have something be built like overnight. If we go again right back to that example of you as a founder making a great decision, if I'm like, you know what, right here in Vail, if we build some new properties, it's going to sell like really well. And 100%, that's a great decision. It's a great opportunity for the company. But it will also be crazy of me to think that, hey, it's going to take a week to build all those properties. You also have to understand there's going to be some time that's required in order for us to achieve that vision and mission. Even though the end mission might be to go towards that stage, you also have to understand, well, what's the next thing that I need to be doing? Maybe the next thing is to get the plans drawn out, maybe getting the architect, all that stuff. And you don't want to skip the next steps. Like I've made that mistake myself where I tried to skip steps. I think this kind of sums up the video, which is the real job of the founder, which is to constantly zoom in and zoom out. I'm going to give you an example of me zooming in on our ads iteration and creative process. I did it myself because I was really knowledgeable in that area. And I figured out this is the best optimized way to do this job. Then I took that, made systems around it, informed my team, and then gave them that. But then I also let them know behind the scenes, how did I reach that conclusion? So that way they can install a little bit of my thinking process and hopefully next time around, they can optimize. And I know some of you guys might be watching it and arguing hey, shouldn't you be hiring top world-class talent? Yeah, I'm all for that. But sometimes as the founder, we just have that unique special sauce that makes us really good, especially if you think in systems, if you think like an engineer, like an architect, and that's your natural personality. I have that kind of natural tendency. I also know some other founders that share that personality trait where they are kind of the best well-suited person to do so. And if that's the thing, no harm, do it. I think always thinking that other people are going to come build for you keeps you in that coach mindset, when in reality, you have to be juggling in and out many times and wearing different hats. You have to be the engineer, you have to be the player on the field in order to learn what are the actual bottlenecks, the constraints, the friction that we can remove. You also have to be zooming back out and maybe being a good coach sometimes to your team. And this is the game of entrepreneurship. So thinking about it in that sense, I want to come up high, figure out exactly where I need to zoom in. And you figure that out by asking that one critical question, which is what's something that if we do wrong, but do everything else right, it will still lead to the business burning down. And that focusing question is going to let you know exactly what you need to zoom in on. Once you zoom in, you have to understand, am I building something new because it's the greatest point of leverage? That's what's going to give us asymmetric growth in this company and allow us to achieve our mission and vision. Or are we fixing something that's totally broken? Or am I improving some bottlenecks and reducing friction? You go in there and you get into the trenches with your team members, stay with them side by side, play around with them, right? Make the system and you figure out the most optimized way to create that system. Then train the team members, not only how the new system works, but how you came to that conclusion. Show them the behind the scenes like a good mathematician would do. Don't just say, I came to this conclusion of X equals to 10. Show them the math behind it so they can understand. Okay, great. Once the team members are feeling good, zoom out and repeat that process. And one critical thing I'm going to tell you, which is too many founders get stuck inside the weed, right? They never come up. They're always being the player. I think this is where you need to understand that your job isn't to be on the field constantly. Your job is to go in and out as needed. So I really hope this video helps you because I wish I knew this years ago when I started this. I am kind of shocked that not a lot more people are talking about what the true role of a founder is supposed to be. And this is your true role. If you do this, you're going to unlock asymmetric growth. You're going to create a great system, a great team, and you're going to be well on your way to achieving the mission vision of your company. Talk to you later.